Call this meeting of the Sherburne City Council to order, August 3rd, 2006. Open for public comment. Do we have anybody from the public who'd like to comment?
Or am I on the agenda? You are on the agenda.
We'll move on. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda with additions.
We have no additions at this time.
We have a
Motion.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Consent agenda. Approval of regular meeting minutes, July 2026. Approval of checks. Approval of payroll period, 26-15. Approval of July utility billing adjustments. Approval of June financial reports. Approval of American Legion Club on sale license. Any discussion? Question?
Motion approve.
A motion to approve and second. All any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Regular agenda. First person up is, I can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry.
Yanni with the sewer lateral
Yep.
and contractor discussion.
You're not more than me, so I'll let you do the full. And right here.
You certainly can. We have one seat or two here if you'd like to sit or stand.
So a couple weeks ago, I got called out to his house. His sewer was backing up in his house and they couldn't find out why. Jetter Clean was just there a few days prior. They said his sewer was 80 feet out.
We have an address.
What's your address?
307 West Cargill. Kind of kitty corner back end of Zach.
See that, man. So they said it was 80 feet out. If you look at this right here, from here to here is about 100 and something feet, 110 feet. So we found it. I went out there and we were in a structure. That structure, they thought that structure was the city main. It is not the city main. It goes down another 100 feet out to here into the middle of the street. So his sewer lateral is 210 feet at least. They couldn't mark out where the exact city main sewer structure was at first, but now they did. So his sewer lateral is about 210 feet. And I called and talked to Paul at the city, and he said way back in the day, the city let the old farmer that did this do an extension onto his lateral onto that, but it was never disclosed to him and his wife as they bought the house. So I found this structure that was here and we went and dug it up, and then we went down, but we couldn't locate where the rest of it was because the sewer is in such bad shape. We couldn't really get past it. So Paul said to bring it up to the city council. City council, this is that structure that we found that we dug up that was in the weeds. He said, bring it up to the city council and see if there's something we can do to help, because the cost of this is going to be astronomical for a 210-foot city or residential lateral. It's going to be up there, and then have them bear the cost of this without being disclosed this when they bought the house.
But it wasn't disclosed from the previous landowner,
It's
Correct.
yes,
as far as they knew.
as far as
like they're,
Yeah, that thing has been there for decades and decades. It's kind of like an old field rock well is what it looks like when you look at it. And there's a pipe coming in here, and then it's just a big well and a pipe going out there, but there's nothing connecting
it's
the
like a
two.
forced outlet.
And that's why you're having problems. And he actually found two giant rocks, probably weigh about 40 pounds each in the one, and we moved them to the side to get them out of the way.
it's starting to collapse. This structure's the rocks are starting to fall off the inside of the wall.
Between my property and the neighbor's property, there's like a little ditch area. That sits right on the corner of it. So when the rain is real bad, that's going up into you have wastewater, stormwater going up into there. I'm sure that's going into your treatment plant as well.
That's where that picture's at.
How
Yes,
close is
yes,
it to farm? How far is it from farmland? Like,
So
Like
this
in
is
a
the one
strange
coming out of
ditch
his house.
area.
And then that's that structure that's right there. And then it comes down And we don't know if it goes with this and then cuts out, or if it cuts down onto the road and comes in, but goes that direction.
So where that's at is where
There's a
sewer-
telephone pole there.
there's sewer in the center of the street then. And that's where right here is where the sewer ends. That's where his feet's into.
Yes, but that's, so this structure right here is this one right here. That's,
This one it's off on the side
The
of
one
the
Yep.
street.
circle
though.
is,
yep, that's by like a light pole structure.
Yeah, that's where the old railroad.
And then it
tracks
comes
used to
out
go
into, yes, that's right by the railroad tracks. Yep. And then it comes out and feeds. Well, when I talked to Paul from the city, he said that the city back in the day allowed whoever owned that property to do an extension of his lateral on there. And that's why it went from here to there into the house. And there's not much fall either. I mean, so then the other thing I brought up to help for cost of this would be to do a septic. And he said, City of Sherburne doesn't allow any septics at any point in time. I mean, there's not much fall from there to there,
Is there a lift pump in the basement at all?
but there is not. And then I even asked him, as I said, can we extend the city main out into the road a little bit further up the road? And he said, no, because that's where that structure is at. Where this city structure is at was a break point. So you wouldn't have the flow, you wouldn't have the fall for the flow.
The old vet clinic, and their septic there.
I think so.
I don't believe so.
I think they have any sewer lines out by the vet clinic because it doesn't
They
show
do.
up on the, they do?
Yeah.
I didn't see it on the map when we were trying
Well, they have a
to,
bathroom there, so it has to go somewhere.
yeah.
So while council is considering this, we do have ordinance language that states, in agreement with what Paul stated, that we cannot have a septic system in town. It states that at such time as a public sewer becomes available to a property serviced by a private wastewater disposal system, a direct connection shall be made to the public sewer within 30 days in compliance with the ordinance, and within 30 days, any septic tanks, cesspools, and similar private wastewater disposal systems shall be cleaned of sludge. The bottom shall be broken to permit drainage, and the tank or pit filled with suitable material. It does also state that within subdivision 4, the owner of all houses, buildings, or properties used for human occupancy or other purposes from which wastewater is discharged and which is situated within the city and adjacent to any street, alley, or right-of-way in which there is now located or may be in the future located a public sanitary sewer of the city shall be required at the owner's expense to install a suitable service connection to the public sewer in accordance to provisions of this code within, or provided that said public sewer is within 500 feet of the structure generating the wastewater. For council's consideration.
Apart from the house to
yeah,
the,
where we,
to that structure in the street.
This one?
Yeah.
So from the house all the way to the city mains, like over, it's 210 feet.
And that blue line is the edge of our property. We recently had that surveyed. That strange structure isn't even on our property.
Well, that structure is the one that's collapsing.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
this one. That's where the rocks are falling off.
Okay. Well, from here, this goes to the city main.
Yeah, it either goes down this way in this way or it comes out and goes out. But
Okay.
it's so sludged through and it's so messed up, you can't even really get through there to see.
So to your best ability, what is your suggestion as to how to get sewer to that home from which direction?
Well, I would like to get rid of the structure altogether and just put a clean out in there, put clean outs and bring them up if we could. The best way to do it would be to line it, but I don't even know if this is capable of being lined. You can't see through it. If we could line it, I would like to just line the whole thing. But without not seeing it, I don't know if this is gonna be able to be lined or if it's gonna have to be dug up. But either way around it, I would like to just get rid of this structure altogether and just put clean outs there. So it's just sealed tight.
Is the main in the center of the street then?
I don't know if I don't know if it comes out and goes down the middle or if it travels. So when you look at this pipe, it runs parallel with the road.
Okay,
So it looks like it's traveling, but you can't tell because you can't get through there.
can't scope it.
Yep. You can't scope it. So I don't know. It might go 5 more feet and cut out and go out to the road, or it might go down 50 more feet and cut into the road.
You can't scope it from the backside,
You can't
from
see.
here, right?
You couldn't find that structure. I didn't know the city didn't know
Well,
where that structure was until you found it.
But it is found though now,
It is found now, yes.
so you could camera from there back.
We could potentially open that up and try and camera back.
I think that's what probably needs to happen.
But I mean,
I guess if this is a city structure and it's failed, that might be one thing that we need to fix, but I don't know that for sure.
Don't either. It's not on the current property that's being discussed.
Not even.
If the,
It's in the right of way,
Yeah.
though.
yeah,
So
but
it's,
and it is the current structure, the structure that Paul stated was part of the lateral extension that you referenced before? It goes in one and out the
Yep.
other? Okay,
his line is the only one that's in this structure. It just
Sure. and Paul was unable to be at our meeting tonight. But to be able to determine whether that structure was city structure or not would be a step in the right direction, as well as cameraing it from the other direction to see
see what you can find there.
what can be discovered. But if the lateral has collapsed,
Between this one and this one.
Yep.
That would be
Correct.
our-
I would think
It's-
there could be an argument that states yes.
Yes.
Because our current ordinance language states that the lateral to the main is property owner's responsibility. However,
That might be.
if,
Compromise.
well,
Or
I wouldn't say the main is compromised, but if a potential city structure is compromised, then there could be an argument made that the lateral is running through.
From the other
it's a
direction.
document.
So what I'll do is
Yeah,
I'll
it's a
go dig this
unique-
up and I'll get a video and
It's a unique,
I'll send one of you
Yeah,
guys.
some
the
there's
video.
underdog to that.
Yeah.
You wanna,
Yeah, so I'll dig this up and I'll get a video and you guys
That's
can all.
regards to that
and you guys
second
can-
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe you guys can all see what the
Yeah.
line looks like.
sounds like we were saying the same thing.
yes, absolutely. And the photo that Yanni just showed me stated, best interest of city and property owner is to obtain ordinance language that states, which we have, and then to disclose or demand whose property is this structure. But understanding with what Public Works has stated to you that the city authorized the service or the lateral extension through that, they couldn't authorize that if it was privately owned. So it's something that we can certainly look into further. Our next council meeting is on the 17th of this month. I certainly don't want to prolong any delay, as I'm
But
certain
if
that
that line
this
is collapsed, we need to get it fixed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as I'm certain that this is having.
So as soon as you can
Impact
get
on
the
your life.
information and get it to Andrea, she'll make sure we get the information.
Yeah, and if we, as the city, have to hold a special meeting to discuss
Time
this,
limits will be at the issue.
we certainly will do that.
Right, thank you.
For me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. You guys have a good day.
Hope to resolve this.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Morgan Ringnell, childcare opportunities and shortages.
Here, okay, so let's read what I got.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak and taking the time to hear our concerns. There's a group of us. I'm here because our community is facing a growing childcare crisis, and I believe it's something that deserves fairly immediate attention. Over the past 3 weeks, Sherburne has lost 2 daycare providers. Today, we only have 2 licensed in-home daycares still operating, and one of those providers is nearing retirement and is no longer accepting infants or new families. According to our county licensor, there are also no new daycare providers currently applying to serve Western Martin County. At the same time, the need for childcare continues to grow. MCW Schools currently has 6 to 7 teachers who are expecting babies. That's according to Corey Reynolds. And there are at least 6 pregnant women just within city limits. And those are just people I know personally. There could be many more than that. And since an in-home daycare can typically only care for 1 infant at a time, that leaves room for 1 infant, and there's, I just told you how many, 10 plus on the way. So this isn't just an inconvenience, it's affecting the future of our community. It affects the livelihood of the parents. It affects the amount of time they have at home to spend with their children every day. It affects other family members, such as grandparents, who are doing the best to help out as well. And in the worst of scenarios, it affects whether or not families are choosing to further grow their families. Families are driving long distances every day just to find childcare. Some are delaying or even deciding against having more children because they can't secure daycare. Others are paying for absent days, holidays, vacation days, time just to hold a daycare spot. Even neighboring communities don't have openings, so looking elsewhere often isn't a realistic solution. If we want Sherburne to grow and attract young families, we have to recognize that childcare is essential in infrastructure. Without it, families may choose to move elsewhere, or even our schools could struggle to retain teachers and staff who can't find care for their children. Our schools could also struggle to attract new families to the district without viable daycare options for younger family members. I understand there isn't one simple solution. Becoming a licensed daycare provider is expensive and time-consuming, and providers often don't receive the same benefits that many other professions do, such as healthcare, retirement plans, etc. But I do believe there are solutions worth exploring. Some of these ideas, I've talked with a lot of moms, talked with Tracy a lot over the last couple of weeks. And some of these ideas include creating grants or incentives for new providers, supporting the purchase of and or use of already licensed daycare homes within our community, being the 2 that are on their way out. Exploring the possibility of a community daycare center partnering with the school or local churches to find solutions, or considering a city-supported facility where providers can operate independently. The example there would be the one that Mapleton has. These ideas may not be the exact answer, but they can be hopefully a starting point for a conversation. I'm not here expecting the city council to solve this problem alone. This is something that will require collaboration between the city, our school district, local businesses, possibly churches, daycare providers, parents, other community members. But I'm asking that we make childcare a priority and begin working together now before this challenge becomes even greater. Sherburne is a wonderful place to raise a family, and I want to make sure that it remains a place where young families can build their future with confidence. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will discuss with the EDA as well. But there's several moms and grandmas in the room that are affected as well. So even I'll say when there was 4 daycares operating in town, it was still difficult to find care. So to be down to, we'll call it 1.5 right now, it's really a struggle. And everywhere, the 3 that are in Trimont and 3 that are in Welcome are all completely full. I know of moms that have been reaching out to places in Fairmont to get an infant in and haven't had any luck really there either. A lot of some of the daycare centers, like Building Blocks in Fairmont has more room, but if you're not a family that works over there, it doesn't make sense to drive over there every day just to drop your kid off and pick them up. And the centers are also about double the cost of what an in-home is. So I know when I talked with you, Warren, you just wanted some of that data. So I put some of that on a sheet. Here's the pricing and things.
That's great.
Like
For people that aren't familiar, don't have kids, we're just out of the loop. And it's a huge, very, it's close to everybody's heart. Because
Yeah.
somebody who either has children or are going to, or, and then the school and potential teachers, even out of work, we've got, I know 2 mothers expecting that. So it's a need. I think the local paper can help us to publish, have some ideas, bring ideas, maybe through the EDA, have them be the clearinghouse to get this ball rolling, or
Absolutely. So Morgan and I spoke for approximately half an hour, just about the agenda item request, but more so about the ongoing problem within our community and the Martin County area, specifically with childcare or lack thereof. I definitely encouraged her, and I know she plans to come to our EDA meeting. With EDA, does have a priority plan, and at one point, childcare was pretty high on that list. We were under the impression that other local community groups were working on further options. Therefore, the EDA lowered childcare on our priority plan. However, with the recent closures or notice of closures, it will be my recommendation on Monday night to make that be one of the top priorities, if not the number one priority. It's also going to be my recommendation on Wednesday night to create a committee of some kind that can collaboratively come together, not just with EDA members, council members, but also community members and school. This isn't a problem that just impacts a handful of people in our community. And as Morgan did a wonderful job explaining, it certainly is daycare is an essential infrastructure within a community, whether a lot of people realize it or not. It's right up there with water mains and good streets. The EDA has been working heavily on housing currently. However, an argument can be made that housing is only so good if you have places to send your kiddos or your little ones as a working parent. And even as not a working parent, you're then also taking burden potentially of family members or friends. So
That Schmickel Foundation, they give grants away, I know. I think seems like it was $14,000 they would give away. Start a daycare.
Okay.
And
yeah. And I think
maybe it's more than that.
How do we make that information more public to?
yes, and that would be
We
then
need to get that kind of stuff out there so that if
Yes.
somebody is even remotely interested, that they know what's
absolutely.
available.
So I've been working, and I know I expressed this to you, that ironically enough, the EDA I've been working with CETA and the Martin County EDA in regards to getting a survey out to our community members to see what the needs are, what's getting in the way, what's prohibiting. I was going to put that out today, and then we learned of another daycare closure. So I pulled that back because I think that there's a much bigger question to be asked, and not just necessarily what's getting in the way of, but how we can help more. And I think exactly what Morgan just stated, which is getting that information out there, collaboratively working together. Unfortunately, it's not just about the grant opportunities to open a new daycare. It's also about having housing in home or center. And as Morgan stated, there can be there may be individuals, and we know that there are individuals who want to open an in-home daycare. However, there is no assistance with healthcare, retirement, those benefits of then being an employee. And so really digging deep into that aspect of the conversation, I think, is important.
and how hard are the licensing opportunities for licensing, and some of them have been shut down.
That's part of the recent development,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is that our county and state regulations around in-home daycares have gotten increasingly more strict.
Write your congressman.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, write your congressman.
Yeah. so, yeah,
The chain.
definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
they
make it known.
see it as a
Sure.
state thing and they want it all to go
Yeah.
to centers, but centers don't always work for small communities. They may work in the cities, they don't
That can be huge.
work here. But
Can be
that was
huge.
I mean, kind of my intention of being here was just to make everybody more aware. And I think I've had conversations with Corey at the school too. And it's obviously very important for them because teachers are not in high supply anymore either. So if keeping a young teacher here by having childcare availability for them is something that she can help with, I think she's totally up to do it. But having a daycare center as a part of the school is a difficult ask for them from a school standpoint. The logistics of it don't make sense. It's not something that they made space for in the new school. The cash flow, it's not there in a school setting.
Right.
But she's still open to other ways to find solutions to that. Maybe an after-school program that helps take care of some of the
Bridge that gap.
Kindergarten to third, fourth graders who can't be by themselves after school, but still need a place to go. There's maybe some opportunity there. Because even an after-school kid still counts as a full-time spot in an in-home daycare. So there's, I think, ways that we can work together with the school to do it too. And I'll be having those same conversations with our school board members as well.
Oh, good. Stay at it. Thank you for your concise report. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda, E, resolution, Ryan Ravelette, Cornerstone Management.
Said it right. Sometimes it's hard to pronounce. I also brought with me too Chris Boss, who's our corporate director of clinical as well. She is one of our several key nursing team members. She's been really driving kind of our relationship with Temperance along with Brianna and the local team. So I wanted her to be here as well in case there's anything specific to the property. But today I really just wanted to get in front of you guys. I know it's been a while since I've seen you all and since we've connected. And really just get in front of you and talk through any challenges you may be hearing or any questions you have for us specifically. I know I shared with Andrea a couple weeks, that's probably been 2 weeks now, prior to the last meeting, just kind of a mid-year recap. So I shared that with Andrea. I know she said she sent it to all of you via email. I did bring a physical copies in case you guys wanted to look at that again today, because there's just a few highlights I wanted to draw out. So I'm welcome to pass those out if you guys want to relook at them. I think I printed 6 copies. Just to kind of talk through some of the items we've been working on since our initial conversations earlier this year. As well, our goal here really is to continue our relationship with the city, continue our relationship with Temperance Lake Ridge, and continue the progress that we've been making and the great things that we've done. We've done a lot of hard work over the last beginning half of this year, and so now our goal is really to how can we continue this and not break anything up with the current team. And we have a lot of good things going on with Brianna, our new executive director. A lot of progress has been made. And so our biggest concern is having the residents or the staff take a backwards track with the management change. I mean, we acquire many buildings and we do this semi-often. And so, knowing that what happens when you take over a new building, there's a lot of change that happens and a lot of turmoil that can happen for staff members. And so our goal here is to mitigate that and to create the continuity that we've already created, continue that. And then really what I wanted to do too is just talk about the items that we brought up in the beginning of this year of the couple of the action items that we wanted to achieve and what we've done to achieve that and those direct impacts. How has it affected the community in a whole? So everything on our list at the beginning of the year that we talked about, and I didn't bring that previous agenda, but everything that we talked about, we have moved forward on and are making progress on or have already implemented. We switched, the first one is our health record system. So we completely switched health record system, giving our caregivers better visibility to the tasks that need to happen with each resident on a daily basis to make sure that our clinical team also from afar, if they're not here, can track that and ensure that tasks are happening and that care is being provided to those residents. This also involved rolling out an entire new billing platform, which we did have some hiccups on, truthfully, trying to convert what was coming out of the previous leadership's team, the way it was inputted into the previous system, being put into the new system. There was a lot of legwork that went into that to identify what everyone was being charged. We went resident by resident. So every single resident we reviewed individually to make sure that they were being captured, their true care levels were being captured, and that way everyone was being charged appropriately from that standpoint as well. Sunbound, one of the comments made several years ago was that no one at Temperance Lake wanted to pay via ACH and everyone wanted to write a check every month. And now 95% of the residents pay via the online portal. So we debunked that quote right away, and have 95% utilization of online portal paying electronically, which is fantastic and helps streamline the billing process. So that's been a great win for the property and also allows for a smoother income flow. So you don't have to worry about that aspect. We did roll out Savant, which is our our survey tracking system, which allows residents to automatically. So we send out resumes via text, email to all new staff in the first 90 days. So we get feedback from them directly. And then they also send them out and actually make physical phone calls to residents within their first 90 days of moving into the property. So we can test and see how is our move-in process, how is that going. So as of right now, and this does include year to date, so there were some lower scores in October and November of last year, which has driven this down a little bit, where we're 77.3 overall on the employee health score. Manager approval, you can see we have not had any red since moving on. We did have a few red in October, November of last year. So this does factor in those rates, but we're up in numbers. Overall workplace happiness, looking solid as well. At 80, I've had 0 red, which red is a 4 or 5 so far this year. So really solid results. We are getting ready to do our annual surveys to all residents, annual surveys to all employees here in August. So that will roll out here in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll wrap that up by the end of August. And then once those results come, I'll be more than happy to share them with you guys as well, just to see where we're pacing now, 8 months into a full annual survey. So that system is up and running. And the greatest thing about it is prior to the system, all of the surveys were done on paper, handed out to residents, and then mailed back to our corporate office, which is only as truthful as the person that's mailing it out. So this really takes away any bias. It's directly calling the residents, directly engaging with residents or the powers of attorney or family members that are listed with those individuals. So it takes any margin of error out. We also rolled out and have been utilizing Vericore Consulting Group, which is our overnight nursing triage team. And they were also the interim leadership that we had in the building throughout the transition. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but on this page, it just shows a snapshot from Vericore of the number of calls that our team at Vericore has intercepted. So basically what this group does is these are RNs on call. So that way the RNs in the building do not have to take that burden on overnight. So when they are there, they're truly just focused on the day-to-day operation and not worrying about being woken up at 2 o'clock when someone needs a PRN medication. So we've taken 143 calls so far this year. 25 were change of condition, 36 medication questions. So these are staff members of the building directly calling in to make sure that we're providing the best care of these residents. So it's nice just to get a feel of what are those calls. We talk about service, but what is the actual impact? So we want to make sure you see that impact. Flipping back, so occupancy snapshot, we did go through a lull at the beginning of the year, with change of leadership, change of management, people following up on things. Obviously, that was a portion of that gap. We're back up. I'm proud to say we're back up to 95%. We have 3 open units. This was as of 2 weeks ago, with 56 residents, 53 occupied units. Our big focus now is really how do we drive resident care and create the best possible outcome for the community and for our team members. I can't say enough good things about Brianna, our new ED, and the team, and Carissa as well for the countless hours and time she has spent at Temperance, just driving the culture and bringing in the Cornerstone culture. I know that, as we talked earlier this year, that was a big hindrance, and what I asked you, my original ask to you all was give us a shot because we've been roadblocked and we haven't had that opportunity. And I do truly feel that the last 6 months have been outstanding and we've made a ton of progress and a lot of great work and have brought in the right people to help it be successful. And we're excited to be a part of this community where we really want to continue what we've started and continue to grow it and see it be successful. And really focus it around our employees and our residents. I tell everyone I'm your MBA guy. I'm the business guy. My background is HR, and my whole strengths is how do we drive a culture that brings people in and want people to be here, and how do we create that, and how do we grow that in communities globally? That's my big push, and my focus has always been on our employees, because I truly feel that if we take care of our employees and our directors take care of our employees in the communities, that naturally things are going to happen well, and we're going to take care of our residents. And that's where Carissa and her team come in to make sure that we're taking care of our residents and they're tracking that data and making sure that we're doing that. Part of this whole ECP rollout is also tracking acuity. So we can now see how many minutes does it take to care for Andrea today. So we know what our staff is doing and can validate that and make sure that if there's ever a need, like, hey, we need more people to do this, we can view those numbers and see that and be able to visualize that. So my big mission has been to create these pieces, drive the team and make sure that we're creating that success. Andrea today, or not Andrea, I'm sorry, just says your name, Brianna today, was telling me, since we've had Brianna and the movement that we've made, what'd she say? We have one open position right now. When we started the year, we had many, many positions, and we have one open position now, fully staffed with a high occupancy building. And I don't think there's much more we can ask for from that standpoint. We're growing the data, growing the visibility. So what we have, good metrics, we can see what's going on. We're tracking the data now. It's not hearsay. We're seeing it on paper with better visibility. I did want to highlight, because I like to pat myself on the back and give myself this accolade, that Cornerstone did achieve a top workplace certification this year, which we're very proud of. We're among 70 employers in the state of Minnesota. That's, I think, a strong feat for us, and shows our dedication to our employees and our workplace. Recruitment efforts, as I said, we've had 34 new hires so far this year with only 12 turnovers. So we're continuing to drive it forward. One of the negatives that I don't want to necessarily call it negative, but we did have to use temporary staffing at the beginning of this year for a couple of months as we went through several employees that were taking the Minnesota paid sick and safe leave, which put us in a tight spot from making sure that our residents are taken care of. So we did end up using temp labor in April, May, and June. Ended at the end of May, but we did have some bills that came in and did hit the June financials. So I know the June financials went out last week. But you would have seen that in there as well. But moving forward, we have completely staffed up, eliminated temporary labor, and we should not see it again with the stability that we've been able to create with Brianna and Carissa and the team that we built here. And then I meant to double check these as I had this thought as I was driving here today, but these numbers were based off of our prelim financials. The financials that did came out last week are updated. So these are probably a little different from when I created this report to when the financials actually came out. So they're probably a little bit different from the prelim, from the finals. But we're moving in the right direction. We're excited for where this is going. We can forecast and see where we're heading, and really continuing to drive high occupancy and create this team that we've built. And that's our big push. I wanted to get in front of you today and just get up in front of you before we get closer to the end of the year. And while it's still warm and not snowing outside, and really just ask if you guys have any questions for Cornerstone and what we're doing, or any questions specific to Temperance Lake Ridge that we can answer for you. And just talk about continuing our relationship.
You haven't made your budget yet this year, your budget number. Last month it was $34,000 negative. And labor was $21,500.
Yes, and so labor will be in line starting in July. As we said, the temporary labor is gone, and so that's allowing us to fall in line with the labor. We do know labor has been overage for the year a little bit due to the temp labor usage that we had to do to cover those major employees that were gone on ESST leave. Revenue wise,
there were nurses and executive directors that were full staff also.
Yes, there was some temporary labor that
it wasn't just the ESST.
Yeah, I know. All I was saying is that was a large portion of our caregiving temp labor.
Well, the ED and the RN make significant amount of money, so it was probably more, I would say.
There is a large portion of the team, yes, but that was not coded as temp labor. So that's on the line item. It's not that line item. That's coded into administration.
Aging accounts, there's 184,000 that's over 90 days old. How do we plan on recapturing that?
Yeah, so we had some billing issues that we talked about earlier this year.
Such as elderly waiver?
Yes, so a lot of it's UCare related and some of the MCO providers or the Medicaid providers that provide the service. So we have had some billing issues. Everything has been rebilled, actually as of last week, because we've been working with our providers. So Sundown, which I talked about in here as well, is the provider that does all of our ACH pools for all of our private pay residents. They also bill all of our public pay. So they're a third party that does that. There was some issues with, when the license renewed at the beginning of the end of the year, because we had issues with that, we got most of that caught back up, but the UMPI number, which is your identifying number, switched when the license switched. So there was an issue with that delayed payment. So there is about $200,000. It's public pay funds that we're expecting to receive that's been delayed. So all of that was rebilled as of last week. So I anticipate in the next couple of weeks that we should receive all of that. We keep a close eye on the cash, especially given the situation. And like this July was a third pay period month. So we did have a third pay period that hit yet on Friday last week, the 31st. So I know that was a question that was raised. Andrew had asked about checks and lack of check runs this month. So we have held back a little of the AP to make sure that payroll was covered, knowing that we're delayed on these public pay funds.
Because there's one resident who's almost $43,000. And then another one was 31,000.
Yes.
That's a lot of dollars that just sits there and doesn't get collected.
Right. And it's not that it won't be collected, it's just delayed.
Well, if you don't, there's so many days you can
Yes, there
collect
is,
that,
there
and
is
if you're
delays.
past that, then it's not gonna be
Yeah, and
collected.
after 6 months, typically they will not let you charge, but because of this, or rebill it, but because of the situation we're in and the license change and the UMPI number delay, the state's aware of all of this.
And that had to do with the papers that weren't,
Basically, yeah, the license lapsed at the end of last year, which caused some of our, provider enrollment, which is how you have to have an UMPI number, which is your provider enrollment, like a state identifying number that says this building can bill for Medicaid and is approved to bill for Medicaid through various MCO providers. So there's multiple, and I should know, do you know what I can't remember what MCO stands for right off the top of my head. I always forget, but it's a third party managed Medicare provider. And so you have to have that number in order to bill. So when
Managed companies.
yeah. So I was like, I know it's coming to me. So that number was just delayed in the reset when the license expired at the end of the year. And the reason, I think we've talked about the license expire, but basically expired because it went to an email that no one responded to.
There's another category that says other AR. And that's $71,886. What is the other?
The other AR is the variance between what was held in prior to moving the AR to our new system. So anybody that was not an active resident, so it's not expired, but a resident that's no longer there, that is their balance. So our team is working on clearing those, but we separated them. So that way, when we're looking in the new EMAR, it's live current residents, we have the balance separated.
What's that number, Brad? 71? Of other AR.
71,868.
Thank you.
It's here somewhere.
And we can so we have multiple municipalities that we work for. So I don't know if you guys knew that. I think we maybe talked about that at one point. We have several municipalities we work for. One, we meet with quarterly and do a quarterly financial review with the city administrator. That it's a much larger city, so the city administrator does a lot more. I think maybe not. Maybe you do more because you're by yourself, but they have a much larger team. So we meet with their finance director and their city administrator on a quarterly basis and go through all the financials. We're more than, I think I said that at the beginning of the year to you, Sarah, too. Like, we're more than willing to go through financials more. I try to give you guys a synopsis every month, so at least you can. It's visibly easier to read, than trying to dig through it all and try to figure out what it is. But I'm more than willing to do a call or a Zoom call or a Teams call with you guys on a monthly or quarterly basis. That way we can go through the financials. If you have specific questions, I'm more than willing to do that. And like I said, I've offered that before, but I always just send out the emails. And so if you guys ever have questions, please feel free to respond. I mean, if you haven't, I know most of you we've worked with, obviously more newer to meeting you, but our whole mission is responsiveness, and we want to make sure we're responsive to our clients and to our constituents in that case, and making sure that we're responsive and we always answer you. Sarah and I've had some conversations. Andrea is always quick to get back to me, or vice versa. And anytime anybody calls, we're always quick to. If we don't pick up on the first time, we'll call you right back.
We
So,
appreciate your answers.
Yeah.
Always have an answer.
Yeah.
Good.
absolutely.
so this information, is this from like January
That's January through
now?
through July. Yeah.
Okay. And like there was a lot of pool nursing. I know when I was going out there, I'm like, I don't know that person. I don't know that person. So roughly how many positions did you have to fill with pool nursing or temp?
Yeah, and we hired, I think I put in there like 36 people over the last 7 months. So we've hired a
So that was
lot.
like 36 positions that were being temp or pool nursing.
I mean,
Till recently.
At one point, I think had like the entire overnight staff was all temporary
Mhm.
staffing.
And the temp staff and
It was done as of May 31st, but there's like $8,000, I think, on the June financials that were just last bills that came in June.
but having temps is always more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mean, we literally we never use it unless it's an absolute must. And even here, even in this situation, we were literally asking other properties that we manage, do you have extra staff that would be willing to go to Sherburne and help out? And the problem is it's far. I think our closest property is about an hour and a half. Our closest other property. So
We've never had pool staffing until this year. In the life of Temperance Lake Ridge.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of people leaving for multiple reasons, you
There's been
know.
a lot of changes that have occurred.
Yeah.
In the community over the last couple quarters.
Any other questions for Ryan?
How's your staff? How's the staff feeling out there? Cause I'm not out there as much as I was, so I don't get a chance to talk to people like I did. But how's the staff feeling as, when they changed the way they were doing their charting and I can't remember what the system they use.
ECP. I'll let Carissa answer because Carissa's a little more
Yeah,
close to it.
no, and I mean, at first, there's always a resistance to change,
Yeah.
that was the fear, but, the staff now, when I would come in and check in, they seem to be doing well with the system and.
It's difficult for them at first, like, and I'm gonna make this up because I don't know exactly what's on there, but okay, today I took care of Molly's, helped her with her dressing, helped her with her brushing her teeth or bathing. Like, is that the kind of things that they're charting? Is that what that
Yep,
system
they're
is?
charting on tasks
Mhm.
and also charting on medication.
Mhm.
So, and really, it's an electronic health record. It just looks different and you might have to click on a different place, but it's not too hard to learn, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
So with doing that system, like if there's a change, say there was a fall or maybe someone got sick or they got a new medication. So when they come to work, then are those like alerts that, this one's got a new medication or this one
Yep.
hurt their arm or something?
yeah, so like if there's a new task on a resident care plan, it's typically highlighted if it's brand new so that they can see that, oh, this is something new. So Jane Doe now needs full assist with dressing versus, a standby assist or just queuing. So those things are highlighted. Or
When they come on for their shift, that they see those changes right away.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on me telling
Correct.
my coworker,
Yeah.
oh, by the way.
And that's the point. And we, just so you understand maybe a little bit about our organization, like we're not the huge 70 building, 50 building portfolio. I mean, we are very agile in the way that we operate because we want to do the best in interest of our employees. And I tell this meme, I said this to someone recently. When we decided what system we were going to use, we tested 7 different systems, and the one that Temperance was using, Eldermark, was one that we tested as well. And we went through this process, demoed a bunch of different systems, talked to referrals, and like really trying to figure out what do we want to do. And, we were like this close to making a decision to go with one that had a great dashboard, super user friendly for us as a corporate entity and as our team. And I saw this meme that was like, I was meant to see it at this time. And so it was a picture and it showed, and you may have seen it before, but it shows parents standing at the edge of a crib and they're looking at the mobile that's going around in a circle, and they see these cute little faces of all these, the giraffe and the bear and all this stuff. And that, the word blurb says, oh, how cute. And then it shows at the bottom, the picture of the baby that's laying in the crib on its back, looking up at all of the butts. And so I said, okay, I needed to see that meme because we went with ECP because their whole mantra is 3 clicks or less. A caregiver can deliver care in 3 clicks or less. So it's very simple. It's very user friendly, which is what we needed. You know what I mean? For our caregivers, because what happens if you're not making it user friendly for the front end user, the person that's using it every day, that doesn't work, and they're not going to chart, and we're not going to have that visibility of the information that we need to make sure that we're doing our jobs well and we're taking care of that person. So that was our big push.
So in the charting that they're able to do, whether it's they're having to help feed them or help whatever the extra cares may be, that's put in this charting, which also helps with the whole billing system, right? It is,
It helps us
directly
determine like
integrates.
acuity level.
Uh-huh.
So if, how, like time spent per day, and by helping to establish a better acuity level, we can staff to that. And staff easier when we can see how much time it's taking for, one resident to have to receive care during the day.
And when you switched over some of these systems, did you find that there were people that were being overcharged for the services that they may or may not have been, that they weren't receiving?
Yes. I
And,
think
and so
that-
then, because you said that you made changes, so were you finding that they're being overcharged and some maybe not being charged?
I don't know if it's so much not being charged, but what we did, I mean, there were, and I can't remember what it was called. There was like $1,000 charge on several residents that just said extra care.
Yeah.
Enhanced care.
Yeah.
And so we had a very hard time trying to identify what that was. And so ultimately we removed that from several residents, which is causing some of the dip in revenue. Which is causing some of the different revenue. But as we talked amongst our clinical leaders and amongst ourselves, we did not feel ethically that we could just continue to charge if we were not aware of what it was and could not make heads or tails of what it was.
Because I did hear that, like, I was out there at a minimum 2 times a week, and I talked to my clients, I talked to the residents, and people, they might not be my resident, but their family comes to me and asks me questions, which I don't know answers hardly ever. But that was some of their concerns, both residents and families asking me, why is this increasing? Why now we got another increase. Now we got another increase. Of course, I don't have those answers, and I gotta go talk to the right people.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that you were able to find some of those confusing charges and
Yeah,
get
I mean,
those.
we literally went through, and I shouldn't even say we as much as Carissa and her counterparts, Deb and Shelley, that went through resident by resident and to identify what are we charging them every month and to ensure that whatever it is, it's ethical and it makes sense and we can explain it.
And that makes sense as to why there was, like you said, a decrease in revenue because they were being charged more than what they should have been
In
charged for
some,
things that,
some cases, yes.
right.
There were other cases too, that the levels of care, the acuity level went up and the resident did increase. But yes,
So this is a much more accurate system that you're using to help.
we can pull, yes, and it's no more, there's no ambiguity. We can pull exact numbers and with any family member and specifically go over their care assessment that equals out to a specific point value that ties to the care charge.
Now, if someone were to have a question on, maybe their mother's care and, it's not somebody, maybe it's somebody who just visits once every 6 months, I don't know. And wondering, would they be able to go to a charge nurse and say, can you tell me what cares my mom is getting?
So any of the nurses could help with that, but the director of nursing, Sarah, oh my goodness, Tablin, I was gonna call it Tablin. She's new. Our former director of nursing stepped down to a 2-day-a-week role for personal reasons. So that's why we made that switch. But any of the nurses could speak to the care.
So, okay, I was just wondering, because they do still come to me and ask questions, and of course, like I said, I haven't been out there very much, so knowing that they can just go to a charge nurse and get.
Any other questions for me? No. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, guys. I did give Andrea and basically a sample of our management agreement, which is the exact same management agreement we've been using for several years. In there as well. I didn't print it or give it to you guys today, but Andrea.
No, but I
has it,
did. It was
so-
included in
Oh,
packet. I did.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to again reach out. And like I said, if you want to set up some additional meetings, we're more than willing to talk through financials or discuss.
We got open. That sounds good.
Thank you all.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Nice to meet you. Yes. Thank you.
I have just an FYI.
Yeah.
There have been many family members that have been very happy. It was a little stressful, as
Absolutely.
everybody can imagine. It
Absolutely.
was stressful at first, but they are happy. The ones that have talked to me with the way things are going.
It was
You can
someone else that wanted it. So
Thank you, guys. I
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
have it
Yeah,
electronically.
yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, resolution 2026-15, approval transfer of funds, POR bond.
They have to have funds to pay their bill, so you probably need to transfer it.
So for council understanding, this is paid out of the TLR bond account. I am not able to wire or ACH out of that account, so it was paid out of the general fund with that now resolution to transfer the funds that are there and available for use for their bond payments back into the general fund.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve and a second for the transfer of bond funds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Roll call.
Roll call. Oh, sorry. Roll call.
Ringnow,
Yes.
Feeny.
Yes.
Beckus.
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Now roll call.
Passes. Resolution 26-16. Approval of donation for theater equipment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the donation of theater equipment. We'll do a roll call.
Kramer,
Yes.
Feeny,
Yes.
Beckus.
Yes.
Ringnow,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item for business, sealed bid opening for elephant slide.
So the city of Sherburne put out a request for sealed bids for the elephant slide that was formerly located at our main city park. The starting bid was listed at $200 and submittals needed to be made by this morning, August 3rd at 8 a.m. The first bid was from Bitsy Murdoch for $300. Second bid was from Jackie Pruitt for $400. Third bid was from Jim Olkers for $250. Next bid was from Chris Bender for $350. And final bid was from Devin Michael for $500.
Motion to approve the $500 bid.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and second for the $500 bid for the winner of the elephant slide. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. We have a winner for the elephant slide. Old business, movie theater discussion.
I had nothing new on this, however, I had not yet received financials and was unsure if any council member had any other discussion or notes for consideration.
I did receive a email just on how St. James does their municipal theater. Again, it's not a money-making position, but at least it gives us something to look at and things to consider. Have we had any more discussion with Nikki and Mike?
Not at this time until council has any further recommendations on the contract. That was a very rough draft that had been presented or provided to you all. I have not initiated any further discussion.
Is the server here yet?
It's not here yet.
When do you expect it?
I can follow up on that.
Well, let's get the server and then maybe you could send us that email. Forward that email to us. Sarah?
Yeah. Let's see if I can get it up in here. My daughter was here. She'd tell me I need to have a iPhone because one doesn't, it works just fine when I don't need it to.
You work on that. Any more discussion about the movie theater? We have a couple things going there. We'll go on. The police chief report. Police chief, Robert?
He's got nothing for you tonight, unless there's any comments from the table.
Any comments for chief? No comments? Clerk's update. Andrea.
So first and foremost, I'm sure many of you have been brought aware already, but during routine maintenance at the water treatment plant, a contractor inadvertently failed to shut off a valve to a water heater that resulted in a small fire. Fortunately, there was no structural damage to the facility and the damage was minimal. The contractor is covering all repair as well as cleaning costs associated with the incident, and the city will not be charged for the scheduled service call which is the reason why they were there to begin with, which is approximately $1,200. There has been a lot of discussion and chatter in the community and the state about cyber attacks on water treatment plants that I would like to address for council. Our water treatment plant PLC has been updated to the most current firmware available. Our IT services will be conducting a penetration test to verify system security and identify any potential vulnerabilities. Community members need not to be alarmed or concerned with access to clean and fresh drinking. Update for council in regards to the tree trimming that was requested along South Main and South Minnehaska. This has been completed. A sincere thank you to our Public Works Department, as well as Deputy Clerk Sean Devens for their work on this project.
Yes.
In regards to our 2027 budget, department meetings are underway to review any anticipated needs, including capital requests. I have already met with Jamie regarding the municipal liquor store priorities. I plan to meet with Public Works Department this week in regards to streets, parks, water, and wastewater. And I anticipate meeting with the fire department as soon as possible. I would like to schedule, if your calendars allow, a budget work session for Monday, August 31st, which would then allow 2 regular council meetings prior to the statutory deadline for submitting the preliminary levy. For council's understanding as to why I am proposing this date, which is August 31st, I will not be in attendance at our 17th meeting as I will be out of town. And I do know that the 24th is the first day of school for many, and there are some scheduled conflicts already with that date. Is there any opposition to the 31st of August for a budget work session? Next, the city's emergency response plan has been finalized after multiple changes that were completed by myself, as well as with Public Works efforts. They have been submitted as part of the Wellhead Protection Plan requirements. Multiple meetings have been held regarding economic development, including discussions surrounding childcare availability, which was brought up to our attention again tonight, business development and housing opportunities. I have also met with CETA staff to discuss potential grant opportunities that are available for the EDA as well as the city that could assist in future housing and infrastructure projects. Update the council, the playground mulch has been delivered and installed. Thank you to Total Lawn and Landscape for supplying the mulch and to our Public Works Department for completing the project. Staff, myself, continue to prepare for the August 11th primary election, including coordinating with election judge, preparing for setup of our polling place at the school, and completion of required election and admin tasks. And finally, for my clerk's update, I am requesting, per the memo that was sent out by our attorney today and provided to all of you tonight, hoping that council can formally adjust the RFP timeline, which hopefully could then recommend a proposed deadline for mid to late September of 2026. That's all that I have.
Report from the council members and mayor. What do you have for the report?
So my family just recently reserved the shelter house for yesterday for a family reunion. But last week I had a client in my shop telling me that they couldn't use the city park because Whitehead said reserved it all. No, we didn't. We just, I don't, what's that called? The place that the line.
Pavilion?
Thank you. Not the shelter house, the pavilion.
Pavilion.
Yes. And, I mean, so, you know, there's 2 more shelter houses that the other families could have used. And this is the first time that Mary's had to sign anything as far as reserving the shelter, the facilities, I should say. And some of that verbiage needs to be changed because it is not like, why would one family, I tried to print it off, but it didn't work. I couldn't get it to print off. That verbiage, there's $100 deposit, which I understand deposits, that's not it. But the way it states is like whoever is reserving that is responsible for the whole park. If you're not using the whole park, and that's not a thing. That's not a thing. And there was another family there when we got there, using the pavilion part. Which, I mean, they moved, but I don't know if maybe they didn't contact the city to see if it was available. That's possible. Because my cousins took care of it before I got there. But there's 2 other shelter houses that could easily, the other 2 families could have used, but like I said, the one family told me that, oh, we couldn't use it because Whiteheads are using it. I said, we're not using the whole thing. Part of it. And so this verbiage needs to be clarified and some of that needs to be changed. I don't know where that verbiage came from.
So it was brought before council to have the park deposit for the shelter house and the pavilion looked at with the $100 refundable deposit. I can take a look at the verbiage itself of the language of the reservation agreement. I don't have it in front of me right now to be able to reference. I could have had I known in advance. Sure. So I can take a look at that. In regards to city reservations, in the past, specifically with the Whitehead reunion, to my knowledge, it has been asked for the shelter house and the pavilion to be reserved as it is a large reunion. However, if those who are making the reservations would like to specify that they just need the pavilion or they just need the east or the west of the shelter house, we do our best to accommodate that, as well as post notice to any walk-ups, so you may say, in regards to individuals using the space. Even
Yeah,
upon
I
a
mean-
A kind of
reservation.
misunderstanding of what you wanted was not both, just one. Make that clear. I want.
Well, anybody who
I want
was
to
coming, anybody who
Yeah.
was wanting to reserve, so that
Make it simple.
they know, like, okay, they're renting the pavilion,
Mhm.
but there's two sides of that shelter house that you're welcome.
And we
Right,
do
right.
notify residents. We speak, Sean now
But I can
primarily
tell you, Whiteheads
handles-
never have, they did not reserve that whole thing because they wouldn't. We don't have enough people that do that. And it's unfortunate that somebody else couldn't use the shelter houses for their family reunion and go elsewhere. But the way it kind of states, it looks like you are responsible for any damages, which, don't get me wrong, some of that is true, but like discussing, well, they're gonna have somebody from the city come and take a look at this park before, or take a look at anything before we get started. Are they gonna come and take a look after? Are they gonna come, like, I don't know. This is good questions to bring up.
And we have a number of city staff, 3 in particular, who live within the community and another that travels to and from all the time. And we do go and take a look at those.
The bathroom, the ladies' bathroom, just to bring that up, that the toilet, there is something that is not working right in there. Like, it doesn't want to flush.
It is a constant battle that our
Okay.
Public Works Department
Okay.
has.
I
They are
know that
able
had
to
been
fix
discussed
and
before.
not. These are all things that I plan to bring up during our 2027 budget discussions.
There was 2 other things I had written down, but believe it or not, that's at home. There was a couple residents had come to me and had said that they've tried to call City Hall and the phone rings and no one answers. And, I don't know about the one, I forgot to ask if they did leave a message. I know one did leave a message and did not get a call back. Came up and talked to Andrea and was not being, according to this person, not rude or anything, but wanted to know, don't you guys answer your phone up here? But while that person was up here trying to get a plan figured out, Andrea and she did say she was busy, and I did say she is busy, and who knows, Sean might have got called out. You don't know what happens. But then had to answer the phone a couple different times while trying to have this conversation with him, but yet, when he called, she couldn't answer the phone because she was busy. And did not get a call back, which should have gotten a call back because this was on an issue with a past due water bill. So that was the other thing I have. Other than that, I think that's all I got.
Please have that individual who stated they didn't receive a call back, reach out to our office if needed. I know that our city staff does our absolute best at managing a door and a phone that never stops ringing. I can see that the flash is flashing on the phone right now. We do our absolute best at returning all phone calls. However, I will also state, as one of the sealed bids that came in, I had an individual call 3 times over the weekend, expecting a call back during non-business hours, and then called yet again this morning, indicating that it, again, had not yet heard a call back. So just to remind council that our city hall landline phone is not answered during non-business hours or weekends. And we do our
I think
absolute
that's a
best
given,
to
Andrea.
get,
That's a given.
sure, we do our best at, providing great customer service.
That's all I got.
I didn't get anything.
Before we go into closed session, did council have, any changes in regards to the RFP timeline that I had requested?
They do want it in September.
So our second meeting in
21.
September would be the 21st. Well, in efforts of getting out with council packets, by the 17th by noon would be great, or 16th by end of day.
16 by end of day. So I'll make that RFP. Change the RFP to September 16th at 5 PM.
Will that work? For
For Timbers Lake Ridge Management.
I think that's,
So I'll make that motion.
we have a second to make the motion for changing the date for the RFP. I'll second. We have a motion to change the date and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Change that.
Motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go in closed session and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We're going to closed session. Thank you, visitors, for coming.
Thank you.